LNG for propulsion. The ship emits a lot of exhaust emissions such as SO and NO, and these two emission reduction becomes one of the most important features for the maritime industry in the future. So the shipping company can apply this system to reduce the air pollution and also lead to efficient engine performance, such as fuel saving. And this is another example of the LNG fuel for propulsion. And the last one is sulfur scrubber systems. And the ships emit sulfur oxide, so they will cause serious air pollution. That's why IMO creates the sulfur cap. And the shipping industry, to meet this regulation, shipping industry must use the sulfur scrubber system, or they need to choose to use the low sulfur content oil as fuel. And the scrubber system has three types of them. First is open loop, and second is closed loop, and the last one is the combination of the open loop and closed loop system called hybrid.
As my partner introduced for you guys about technology, so I will continue with the regulations of international organizations. In order to meet the needs of international organizations, so IMO have introduced a lot of regulations to give the instructions for port authorities, for shipping line, for the personnel on board the ship, how to do and what to do. So I just give some highlight points only. The first one, since March 2018, the fuel consumption of all the ships has been reduced the exhaust emissions, and all the daily data has been logged. And in April 2018, the International Maritime Organization has decided to reduce drastically emissions, and they hope that by some regulations, they hope that by 2050, all the 173 members of the state of the UN can reduce 50% of CO2 emissions from the ship compared to 2008. And for the sulfur in 2020, so since 2020, just only the ship with no more than 0.5% of sulfur may be used, or they just if they achieve this number, they can continue to the high sea and they can transport the goods through the sea. Yeah. Currently, the amount of sulfur data is 7 times higher than 0.5%. It means that we are using 3.5% sulfur ships to transfer the goods, but this one is pretty high, so they want to reduce it in the future. And they introduce and they give the regulation, so step by step the number of or the amount of sulfur will be reduced. And the next problem with, or the next regulation is for ballast water. So they also introduced a convention called the International Convention for the Control Management of Ships' Ballast Water in Sediments. So we call BWM Convention, Ballast Water Management Convention. This convention has been adopted in 2004 with the aim of introducing global regulation to control the transfer of invasive species, but now, or since 2017, they enforce and the ship need to manage their ballast water. And so what is ballast water? So as you might know that ballast water is the amount of water that we taken on board by ship for keeping the balance of the ships. And however, the amount of water may contain a lot of like aquatic or marine microbes, like these species and plants, and also for like some harmful species for the human health or the environment of other nations' water. And for the BWM conventions, so it divided ballast water into two standards. One is D1, the D1 here. Okay. Yep. So the first standard for the D1 for the ballast water. So for this standard, it requires all the ships like exchange the ballast water in the high sea or in the open sea. And the D2, the second standard, the ship can pump in the water in anywhere, but they have to specify the species that harmful for the human health. So the convention has like two standards here. Right now, all the ships must get the requirements, like they have to have the ballast water management plan before the operation or before they start their journey. They have a really clear ballast water management plan, and also the ballast water record book, and also the certificates for ballast water management. And for the existing ship, so from 2017 to 2019, for the 2017 to 2019, so all the existing ship, they step by step and achieve the D2 standard. But for the new ship, since 2017, they must be in the D2 standard. So all the ships now, like 90% of ships now, they will have the D2 standard. Yeah. And then also the same with sulfur and carbon dioxide. They also introduced in regulation for ECA, emission control areas. Since January 2015, so the ships just only can burn like less than 0.1% mass per max of sulfur, because sulfur is really harmful for the environment, right? And I have the example here for some areas like Baltic Sea or North Sea or English Channel here, and also North America. They introduce, and the Port Authority, they have the ECAs, so they can control the amount of sulfur that released by the ships. Yeah. And not only just technology and regulation, we also have to mention about energy powers, right? So we have some kinds of energies for the green ships. The first one is for wind power. And the second one, LNG. The tendency to move from diesel oil, and to move into LNG, which is more efficient and less pollution. And the next one for electrics, but this one, electricity is just used for a short journey and internal waters only, because they're features of the electrics. And then we have a really new one here, the solar power ship and hydro ship as well. So for these new kind of renewable energy, so we can reduce the amount of toxic emissions, sulfur, carbon dioxide that the ship release into the environment. And for the conclusion parts, so investing, developing, and using green ships is not only beneficial, but it's really essential. we can maximize the vessel capacity and take advantages of economics of scale. And also, using green ship is an ideal way to protect the environment because we can cut down the amount of carbon dioxide, sulfur, and some toxic emissions into the environment. And also, we can making use of renewable energies. As I said before, wind energy, wind power, solar power, LNG, hydro, and electric. So, and also taking advantages of state-of-the-art technologies, and bringing back a perfect transportation, and also meets the needs of international regulations and authority all over the world, and also protecting the ocean and the environment plays a significant role in saving the planet because we're facing with a lot of problems like global warming, ice melting, sea level rising rate. So saving planet is the biggest problem for us now. And the last but not least, green ship plus green energy plus green port equal to green earth rate. That's our target rate. And so we have to say that the tendency to use or to develop the green ship is indispensable. So that's our presentation. Thanks for listening.
Okay, thank you. So, I think some comments. So, I think the other teacher will give some comment for you. So, Dr. Huang, would you make a brief comment?
Thank you for your presentation. And we know the environmental protection is a very important issue throughout all the industries. And I'm just wondering that since IMO issued the regulation, and is any penalties for those ships that doesn't meet the requirement?
Yes, of course. They introduced the regulations, and then they also have the really detailed construction or not construction instruction for the related people, like which step, how many steps in the procedures, and which person will responsible for which action, and then if they violate the rule, so what they have to do. So normally they will get the fine, like paying the cash, or they cannot have the permit to continue their journey. So maybe they will be detained in port, for example.
Okay. So the penalty will go through the IMO or?
Yeah. All the ship will have to follow the IMO regulations.
Now, I have some questions regarding your data. Please presented put to the third, I believe, where you have the diesel emission, diesel fuel use, 370 million pounds, or something. I'm not sure. Are we using pounds to count the diesel oil?
Which one slide?
In the first part about the energy power, the statistics showing different ships as a cargo ships as well as the oil use, and there are 4 rings, 4 circles. I think it's the first one, the first or second. Yeah, 300 million is that a ton, not pound. Fuel use, 370 million. What's the unit of the diesel use?
Tons.
Tons. Okay, not pounds. Okay, thank you.
Maybe her pronunciation is not good.
Okay, no, you're fine. No. I'm old, so I misheard. Well, one thing I would appreciate if you could, when you use one of the green ships using LNG as the energy source, and then you define LNG later on your presentation. Would that be better if you can define the fuel you use, the energy use before you starting into some details? Would that be better? Okay, that's my suggestion. Secondary, both of you have read too much on the slide instead of having contact with the audience. I would suggest you, because you should familiar with your materials so you can look at us a little bit more. And thirdly, there's some statistics that showing on that 2020. You have a few slides showing a figure and then you're writing your explanation on text. Then you should, I think it's probably on the, go down. Okay, here, yeah. Okay, sulfur 2020. Then would you realize it's way too much information on the slide that we cannot read any of them. Yeah. And then on this information, you specifically point at, since 2020, only fed constantly. You only point that the bold part of the work. Would that be better if you just get rid of all the other information and just present the bold part, so we will know what you are trying to focus on? Okay, you did a good job. Thank you very much. I learned a lot. Thank you.
Okay, so my question is like, because you just showed me the green port, green ship. It's green ship plus green edge, and the green port is equal to green earth, right? So how about a case of Vietnam? Do your government have support this kind of green ships? Maybe give them some money to support it, or to, basically the dual new ship quite very expensive. How about your government policy?
So yeah, as you know that into making or producing a green ship is not cheap, right? So
Yeah.
it's unaffordable for the Vietnamese government at the moment. So maybe in the future we will focus on the green ship later. But 10 years recently we have built up and operate the green ports. They can focus on green ship in the future. They know that green ship is good, but due to some economical reasons, so just put there.
Because my reason is that because in developing country, majority of developing country, of course, their economic situation is still low. So that means their government fiscal situation is not so well too. But to follow email regulation, you have to give some ship company some penalty, but no give any incentive or benefit to a ship owner. So why they need to follow the order to do profit in the future? Yeah. Okay, actually your presentation is so good and your PPT is good. Thank you. Good job. Next.